Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to another episode of Glass Half Full, a podcast and a safe platform where we talk with a variety of teachers, entrepreneurs, spiritualists, uplifters, givers, shakers, and serenaders. Everyone has a lesson to learn and a lesson to share. Let's use our life experiences to enrich someone's heart, mind, spirit, and soul. Through sharing our experiences, we can be a learning inspiration for one another. I'm your host, Chris Levens. Let's welcome today's guest, Miss Andrea Hounsell. She's the owner of Borrowed and Blue, a wedding planning and design firm located in St. John's, Newfoundland. Andrea has been doing weddings across Newfoundland as well as Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Toronto, Ontario. Andrea has been in the business for over 12 years and has been in a variety of features, which includes Wedding Bells magazine. Let's give a warm welcome to Andrea. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey, hey. Good morning or good evening, whenever you're listening.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for taking some time out to be here with us today.
My pleasure. What an honor.
Yay. No, the honor is ours. Definitely so. Definitely. So let's jump right in. And I'd like to ask you, I'd like to ask all the guests that are here, our life is in a spiritual design. Can you share with us your life layout, like your blueprint with everyone, how you grew up, where, your family lifestyle?
For sure, yeah. So I originally grew up in Corner Brook, Newfoundland, which is about a 7-hour drive from where I'm located now in St. John's, Newfoundland.
Okay, now when you say this, people are like,
yeah.
well, where is that? What part of the world is that? Give us a...
Yeah, so Atlantic, Canada.
Okay.
And St. John's is I think the most northeastern point in North America or something like that, I think.
Oh, snap.
So we're right out on the tip there. Little island, little baby island right in the corner of Canada.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure. So yeah, I grew up in Corner Brook originally. I have two older brothers. Both my parents are still trucking at the marriage game after 45 years now. I think they're at.
Wow, now that's pretty amazing.
I know it's pretty rare in this day and age. So
That's true.
It's a pretty big accomplishment for them. So yeah, they've been really great. I come from a super entrepreneurial business owner family. I think there's just one of my siblings who is a chef in Ontario that had no desire to go into business ownership himself, but the rest of us are entrepreneurs still currently in our life. So that was a great kind of start for me.
Okay, mom and dad, work it.
Yeah. So I grew up there and went all through high school there. And then I actually moved to St. John's originally to do a music degree at Memorial University here.
Nice.
So I took a little turn from there into wedding and event planning after I graduated. I taught private music lessons for a few years and then got into wedding planning. And that was almost 13 years ago now. So the rest is history.
Wow. What were you going to do in music?
I did finish my music degree. So I did a flute, focus in music school. I did a minor in law and society with my degree. Originally, way back in the day, I thought I was going to go to law school and then realized that was not the path for me at all. Mm-hmm. I've always been kind of more artistically inclined. So I actually originally was going to sign up for an interior design course, which is what my mom has always done. And that same school was offering a wedding and event planning course. And I was like, oh, that sounds like it's right up my alley. And that's what I ended up doing. And here we are.
Wow. You know, it's quite amazing how things happen, right? The wind just blows one way or situations happen. And here we are on a different path that we thought we'd never be.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the surprise of it.
It's definitely something that I feel super blessed to do, something that I really love to do.
Amen.
And to have been able to make that a career. So I feel very lucky on a pretty much a daily basis, although COVID has robbed a little bit of that, but we'll get back there.
I know Rona has been on a storm field, okay, sitting people down. Can you tell me how has that affected the life of 2020? How has it played on your current life now?
Yeah, so two kind of different aspects for me. I was actually living in Toronto when COVID first started last year.
Okay.
I was kind of in the process of trying to make up my mind whether or not I was going to stay in Toronto or move back here to St. John's, because I had kept my business here in St. John's and was kind of flying back and forth to do weddings and working on some really cool events in Ontario. So I ended up kind of deciding actually just when COVID was hitting to move back to St. John's and kind of be here, rooted here, where I would say 95% of my clientele was, which was a smart decision based on how things have gone now. But obviously in events, we haven't been able to celebrate with, for the bulk of the time, we haven't been able to have more than, say, 25 people together at an event. So that has massively changed my business from doing weddings every Friday and Saturday from June to October to, I think the last wedding I did was November of 2019 right now. So,
oh, snap. Really?
Yeah. So it's been, I've been lucky in the sense that most of my clients have just kind of continued to postpone and they haven't canceled altogether for the most part. So I've managed to kind of come out okay. But yeah, it's been a learning curve for sure.
Wow, I guess there's no way. Somebody was saying like people were having weddings online.
Yep. There's been a lot of people that have done kind of virtual celebrations or have done something smaller. I think most of the clientele I work with, they tend to do a little bit more like larger size celebrations. So for them, it was the option of like, do we scale down or do we wait and do it the way that we want to do it? And most of them have just chosen to wait. So.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, waiting is good, especially if they're getting married. They might as well get that clock ticking, get it ready.
Yeah.
They're gonna be spending enough time together.
And I get like if it were me, I mean, especially I think a lot of times for girls, you grow up your whole life thinking about your wedding. So to kind of change how that looks and not be like right now, you're not allowed to have dancing at receptions here because I guess close contact with people and whatnot. And you're only allowed to we're up to a maximum of 100 guests again now, but everyone has to be socially distanced and wearing masks and you can't be hugging people. And
which
so
is like, how do you say all that at a wedding? Yeah.
Yeah. It's an emotional event. You want to be like, having a little cry and hugging your friends and seeing all these people. Yeah, so I'd want to wait it out too.
No, I would too. It's like a cold day. You're like, and the wedding pictures is like there's nobody there. No, that's not cute. Exactly. That's not cute at all. Okay, so it's been a major effect on you, but you still have come out on top. It has not put you under.
No, it hasn't put me under. I've done pretty well with just kind of rebooking people. And I do find there's been also a wave of people that are booking a lot earlier than they normally would for like future years. So we have, many bookings for 2023 already, and we would normally not have that many bookings for that far out at this point. And then I also did a bit of a pivot into some virtual online planning stuff too. Like,
I was going to ask you, was there any, had you changed your business at all to fit some type of online?
Did a little pivot, little sachet here and there. You kind of have to
kickball change, yes.
Kickball change, yeah. So I launched a downloadable like PDF that people can purchase. That's a full year before the wedding that walks them through. It's a checklist that walks them through every single thing that they have to do leading up to the wedding to make sure they kind of have all their ducks in a row.
That is smart.
So that's an instant download they can purchase. And then I also most recently just launched a online wedding planning membership, which I'm super excited about. So that is like a full, it's essentially like you're hiring a planner, but you don't have that person there kind of in person with you. But
so they're virtually.
So it's a whole platform that works them through their checklist, their RSVPs, their seating and layout, their design for the wedding, the budget, all that stuff. And then it has like video tutorials from me with all of my years of experience that kind of walk them through the whole thing. So.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah.
How did you come up with this idea? Where did it come from?
Well, I just feel like everywhere I was turning, I was seeing people kind of doing online coaching things. And I just thought, like, I have this extra time on my hands now where I'm not like physically out coordinating weddings and running around doing stuff for clients. So how can I put that to good use and,
Hmm.
kind of turn lemon into lemonade and make something a
Yes.
bit better out of it. So
And we
that's
like
what I came up with.
lemonade. Let it be a little bit sweet.
Yes,
Yes.
honey.
Yes. Yes. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
love it. Can you tell everybody what are you most passionate about? I'm sure there might be
Yeah,
many
for sure.
things, but if you can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's lots, but I would for sure say that weddings are definitely my passion. I have some would say a sick obsession with protecting the bride and groom in a little bubble on the day of to make sure that no stress or any of that stuff kind of affects them. So my job on site on the day of is to make sure that everything behind the scenes runs smoothly. And
Mhm.
if things pop up that aren't running so smoothly, they get fixed before the bride and groom ever know about it. And then I just get to tell them all the fun stories after the fact. But I just love being involved. I think it's such an honor for people to entrust you with such a momentous occasion in their
Mhm.
life.
Mhm.
And I really take that seriously. And I feel proud that people kind of will entrust that to you. And I love to make sure that things really run smoothly for them so they have nothing but great memories from the day.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there is a sense of pressure, like I've been a waiter before, and that sense of
Hmm.
everything needs to be right, napkins and tablecloths need to be flawlessly done, and
Hmm.
things need to be all in order, especially for a wedding, because it needs to be flawless. It's supposed to happen just one time, right? So,
Yeah.
we're like, it's supposed to go off without a hitch. So, that sounds
Yeah.
awesome that you can be in charge of helping making someone's day extra special.
Yeah. I really love it, I have to say.
Now, have there ever been any wedding disasters? Anything that you feel like this
I
is.
mean, I wouldn't say disasters per se, although a couple of years ago, I did have a bride that, hopefully I don't get in trouble for talking out of school. I won't name names, but
No,
I
don't.
did have
Please don't.
they'll come for you.
Please don't. Please don't.
I did have a bride a couple of years ago that I still to this day don't know what happened because she was kind of well protected for the day, we'll say, but she was really I don't think happy emotional, but really visibly upset for the majority of the reception.
Oh,
And
no.
it was a tricky situation to handle to try to keep the reception flowing and the guests kind of enjoying the event and not really trying to get them to not notice what was going on while the bride
Mhm.
was kind of sequestered in the washroom with her bridesmaids who were
Oh,
like guarding the
no.
door. It was a whole thing.
Okay.
But the reception, I think everyone had a great time at the reception. At the end of the day, the hotel staff was amazing with kind of like holding meal service and making sure things still came out like hot and ready to go, even if
Mhm.
we had to delay a little bit between courses and whatnot. But yeah, that was an interesting one. And then usually in Newfoundland, the biggest things for us are dealing with weather. So we did have,
Meaning, in what way?
meaning if you have an outdoor wedding here and you don't have 2 to 3 backup plans for where you're going to go when the weather changes on you at the last minute, then it can get a little messy. So I was doing full planning for clients years ago, and we had a big hurricane that was
Oh,
projected to
no.
come through. Yeah, and they were booked for an outdoor ceremony by this like beautiful waterfall on one of the golf courses here. So we had a tent rented as like a backup in case we needed to kind of have the tent for protection. And nobody really knew how bad that storm was going to be coming into it, because a lot of times in Newfoundland the weather can change
Mhm.
on a dime, and like we can experience like 4 seasons in the run of a day. That's no joke
What?
whatsoever.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
gosh.
it can be like snowing in the morning and like 20 in the afternoon, and then
Okay,
it just
wow.
is a whole thing. So yeah, we ended up having to roll through all of our backup plans because the winds ended up being too high for them to safely put up the tent. So we then had to create a indoor venue for a ceremony while like
What?
half the city was out of power and shut down, and
Oh,
it
my
was a
gosh.
crazy wedding, but one of the most beautiful weddings I've done to this day. So we rented like this beautiful white satin drapery, like literally the night before. And we did kind of like pipe and drape, like a big backdrop across half of the room. So we had the reception tables fully set, ready to go behind that drape. And then the bride and groom got married right in front of that. So it just looked like this lovely like backdrop they were getting married in front of.
Nice.
And then we flipped the entire room from ceremony to reception in a 45-minute cocktail hour while guests were in the other space. And I was like calling everybody that I knew, like, hi, I know it's the middle of a hurricane, but can you get in your car and drive to this golf course and help us flip this space? It was a whole thing, but it was beautiful at the end of the day.
Sounds crazy. I know it's a hurricane, but can you jump in your car and come and help me?
Yeah, just avoid the trees on the road on the way. It's like,
it was
crazy.
And to me, this is passion, right? When you are putting yourself out of the care of just your own to try to get your job done. No matter what happens, you're still trying to get your job done. And that's what we're talking about. That is the extra mile, they say.
Totally. Wow. I always say wedding planning is not for the faint of heart. If you're easily stressed, it is not the career path for you.
I know that's right.
But
how do you deal with stress? What is your way of unwinding after dealing with, sometimes these brides can be a little bit crazy. I've seen some of these reality shows with these. So what is it that you do to unwind and relax?
I mean, I think I've been pretty lucky in the sense that I guess the environment that I grew up in around business owners, a lot of the normal kind of stresses of things have always felt quite normal and quite comfortable for me. So I think a lot of things that most people get stressed out about don't really seem to affect me that much. So I've been very lucky in that sense. I think part of it's just good genes of like not being super anxious or an easily stressed type of person. But I still I grew up playing the piano before I got into the flute. So I still play the piano. I find that's a place that I can sit and zen in, and all you can really focus on is the notes on the page and you forget about everything else. So I still love that. And going to see a movie with friends or taking my dog out for a walk to just kind of blow off some steam if there's a situation that you're having trouble working out or finding a solution to or whatnot. But
And I know you love to pamper yourself. So I know that you'll put
all about that self-care game.
Yes. There'll be some cucumber slices over those eyes and a hair whipped into a towel and bubbles and yes.
Yeah, it's important to do that stuff. I think I'm probably one of the, of my I have a close group of girlfriends from university and a close group of girlfriends from high school that I'm still in touch with. And I think I'm probably in both of those groups and definitely the girl that is most extra when it comes to that stuff. So,
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. We have to take care. We only get one of these, one body, and one life. So why not do it up for sure? Is there anyone around you who motivates you or keeps you motivated, or maybe more than one person?
For sure. I think I'm super lucky, like I said, to have a bunch of really amazing girlfriends around me that are, all kind of killing it in different ways, whether it be career-wise or rocking the mom life or whatever. So they're inspirational in different ways. I have a super close relationship with my dad, who's still at 72 years old, is still working, I think, probably 2 full-time jobs.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
That he just loves. Yeah, he's a CA, so he is just obsessed with numbers and calculators, loves it, could lock himself in a room, I feel till the end of time with that.
Wow.
So he's my go-to, what do I do with this business decision call? I'm on the phone with him for sure daily, just checking in or chatting or whatnot. But I also have a really close girlfriend here in town that is also an entrepreneur, and she's got 2 retail locations here in St. John's, and she also has her own jewelry line and an online store, and she's a mom and a wife, and she's just doing all the things. But I feel whenever we have we call them business lady lunches.
Wait, you call them what?
Business lady lunches. So whenever we have our little lunch dates, I always come home from those and I'm like, okay, Kim is really on her game. I need to up my activities here.
It does push you, right? Together. When the people around you are working hard, it pushes you to work hard. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I love that title. I love it.
We like to keep it fun. You got to have a laugh every now and then.
No, it's important. And, it's important, I think, to put ourselves in and around people who are on the same accord as we are, to help kind of keep us balanced and help keep us focused. And they, like you say, they make us work hard. I told somebody, like, it's not jealousy. Like, I'm happy about what I have, but it makes me push to be like, you know what, Chris, you could be doing a little bit more too.
Absolutely.
Like
that's exactly it. It's not like you don't feel like guilty that you're not doing enough. It just feels like, wow, like I could really be using this time to be doing these extra projects or whatever else I've been talking about doing for forever that I haven't like put into action yet.
Exactly.
So it's just kind of like a little extra kick in the pants from good friends.
No, you're right. You're right. It is. And they don't mind to throw it out and be like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
One of my friends, I always tell him that every year it's important for me to feel current in the year, meaning there's something that I've put out or something I have produced or have been a part of that has been leveling my success higher, every year. And once it happens, I'm like, okay, check. And it's usually more than one thing, but we want to feel every year that we're leveling up, that we are pushing and growing higher. So
yeah, that's the name of the game, right? You feel like you're always, happy and content with where you are, but not too content with the fact that you're not continually trying to grow and be a better version of who you were yesterday. You're only in competition with yourself.
You know what? It's true. It's true. And nothing comes without risk, being able to feel that you are ready to take a chance on something new, a new idea, because being comfortable and, and complacent, they are not the same. And sometimes we mix them up and in life and feeling about that. Can you say for yourself, what was the biggest risk that you feel that you've taken thus far? Maybe in your business or outside of your business?
Yeah, I would say probably I 2 years ago decided, so I had a very successful business here in St. John's, and we were, booked out pretty well in advance for weddings and whatnot. And I had always kind of in the back of my head thought, when I lived in Halifax years ago, was trying to decide if I was going to move home to Newfoundland at that time or if I was going to go to Toronto and try to get into doing, like larger scale events and bigger productions and whatnot. And I ultimately ended up deciding to move home and was really happy with that decision, but always had a little bit of that kind of what if in the back of my head. So after talking to, friends and family about it for years, one of my girlfriends finally said, like, for the love of God, how long are we going to talk about that? I wonder what would have been. Just go and do it. Like, when you're not doing weddings here and you're in your off season here, why not go for a couple of months and try it out and see if you like it? And I was like, oh, that seems super complicated. And like my grandmother who was living here at the time, I was like her kind of primary caregiver. And I was like, who would take care of Nan and all these things? You feel like, you just have responsibilities of like day-to-day life. Anyway, I ended up taking the leap, and I think at that point in time, my Nan ended up moving to Halifax to live with my uncle. And I subletted my house for 3 months and packed up my giant, I call her a little pony, my golden retriever. And
that is the dog, people. That is the dog that we're talking about.
The dog, yes. So I packed them all up, and we went to Toronto I had said I was going to go for, I think, 3 months. So I left the end of September. And so I was going to go essentially October, November, December, and then make a decision at Christmas time if I was going to come back and I had kind of gotten it out of my system, or if I was going to stay. And I did end up staying there for about 1.5 years and got to work on some incredible events there, like with some really well-known planners in Toronto, like massive, like $1 million wedding budgets, like insane stuff that you see like in the movies. It was awesome to kind of work with them and just see how they kind of run their events and their teams kind of behind the scenes. And I think that summer that I was there, I flew back and forth to St. John's to work with my own clients, like to be here for their wedding days, the people that were booked in for full planning. So I was on a plane, I think 7 or 8 times in those like 4 months of the summer, which like I loved for a hot second. I felt like, it was cool to be kind of like jet setting back and forth. And, Yeah. But for sure, I knew it wasn't something that I was going to do long term. And then I ended up meeting a guy when I was in Toronto, and we, at the time last year, had moved back here to kind of settle down, and that took a bit of a left turn. So I'm kind of refiguring that whole personal life side of things out now. But I'm so glad I came back when I did last year, because I mean, otherwise I was in this 650 square feet apartment in Toronto. So I would have been there during all of COVID, and they've been in lockdown longer than anyone else in Canada has been. So it's been nice to be here and kind of in the little bubble of Newfoundland, where for the most of the outbreaks and whatnot that we've had, we've only been in lockdown, I think, twice in the whole last year. So it's been, great to be able to be outside and still have fresh air and all that stuff. So yeah, it was definitely the right time.
And now right, I guess, to feel that what if you don't have to second guess about the idea of what would happen to be there, and you've still been able to come back and step in and continue on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think who knows what will happen when COVID is kind of over. I think I'll still it would be great to be able to fly back and forth and assist some of the planners I worked with before on their weddings still, and make a little vacation or a little trip out of it here and there. But I'm definitely happy to be, I'm more of a small town girl, I think. So it's great to be back here. And then it's easier too for clients that I'm here and present, on site for the whole planning process. Yeah.
No, because they want you to be here. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
They want you to be here.
It makes more sense. Most of my full planning clients don't live in the province. They're planning from Ontario or BC. So if we're all in BC or all in Ontario, then it's a little bit trickier, but it's definitely easier, to be on the ground. But most people do things via email and over the phone now anyways, as far as meetings and stuff go. So that hasn't affected it a whole lot, but it's definitely nice to be back working with, vendors that I've known for 10 years. And I know exactly, their ins and outs and who I can trust and who's charging the right price for people and all that. So that's been handy too.
I know that's right. Well, in closing, let me ask you, is your glass half empty or half full?
For sure, half full. I think that is always up to, yourself, whether you're going to look at things as being on the kind of optimistic things or pessimistic side of things. And I have always chosen to look, even through the height of all of this COVID, everybody has days where you're like, oh, I just wish that this would be over and go away so we can get back to, doing events in regular style and not having to mask and all of that kind of stuff. But for sure, I think life is what you make it. And if you have the right kind of optimistic outlook on life, I think your glass could always be half full. All
right, girl. That's the way it is. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. It's been an honor to be invited on, and I can't wait to hear many of your podcasts to come.
Why, thank you, my dear. It's a pleasure to have you as well. Can you tell everyone how they can reach you? If they're trying to get in touch with you, I mean, maybe you might get a few clients, some international.
Yes, call me. You can visit our website at www.borrowedblue.ca, and our blue just has no E on the end, so just BLU. And you can find us on Instagram at _borrowedblue_.
And that's for borrowed people, BORROW. I know her accent kicked in. Y'all was like, what did she say? So, yes, that's
OWED, borrowed.
So, the email, www.borrowedblu.
You got it.
Yes, CA. And that's for Canada people. Everybody's not .com. Just
Don't
to let y'all know. No, not at all. Thank you. Thank you so much, Andrea, for being a guest here on Glass Half Full. We're so glad that you could be with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for all our listeners, everyone who's listening in to Glass Half Full, a safe platform for everyone to share their life experiences. Once again, I'm your host, Chris Levens. Please subscribe, follow, and rate this podcast for more learning experiences. Until next time, be blessed. See ya.